these are the people that have taken all your council tax money, stuffed it all into their pensions and their staff salaries and their DEI contracts and all the rest of it. And meanwhile, they can't have the lights switched on. They're literally, the lights are off and there's nobody home. What's wrong with these people? And how do they get away with it?
The idea that you can't get into the dump with a piece of furniture that needs recycling because you don't have a car,
I know,
is actually crazy.
Isn't it?
That's how far it's gone, the madness.
And also, these are the same people that will talk about recyclable, reusable, replenishing, renewable, sustainable living.
And that's my big problem.
But you've got to have a car.
All this ULEZ stuff is that the Mayor of London has really forced a lot of people to ditch perfectly usable. Like my mum had a lovely old banger that wasn't ULEZ compliant because she lives in central London. So literally there is another car in landfill because she can't replace it. By the way, have you seen the latest on electric vehicles? Guess what? They lose their value basically the minute you drive them out. I know you're a fan of electric vehicles.
To be fair, all cars do lose value.
Of course they do, but not that much.
But electric vehicles have a particularly low second-hand value because nobody knows how long the battery is going to last.
Exactly.
And if the battery does die, it's an awful lot of money to replace it.
Exactly.
And also, we're now going to be faced with charges. If you have an EV, you're going to be faced with road tax, you're going to be faced with congestion charges. All of that free stuff is going because they've worked out, too many people have got electric cars now, so we have to start charging them. It's madness. Absolutely
the shine
crazy.
is definitely coming off electric cars and the damage that they do and the batteries and all of that.
Let's have a look at the Heathrow boss. Remember him?
Yes, I do.
How many months ago was it when they had the big blackout?
I can tell you exactly when it was. It was in the middle of March. It was my first holiday in 4 years, and I had to tell my 4-year-old when he woke up that morning, oh, by the way, darling, you know that holiday you've been counting down to for the last 3 months? We're not going, by the way. And he was literally in tears. And apparently the Heathrow boss was blithely sleeping all the way through it.
Yeah, apparently this is Thomas Woldbye, who's from Denmark, apparently. During the chaos after an electricity substation fire knocked out power, leaving 200,000 passengers stranded. It was back in March. He was paid 3.2 million last year. He apparently was out in London at some function, right? And some people said that he obviously decided he had to go home because he'd had enough. I don't know if he was the worst for wear, but he got home and apparently he put his phone on the bedside table and it went automatically into silent mode. Now, I don't know about you, but I mean, I've had problems with my phones in the past. Sometimes the alarm hasn't gone off because I haven't set it. Sometimes it's been in silent mode because I put it in silent mode.
My phone's only ever been in silent mode if I've put it in silent mode.
It never has gone, as far as I'm aware, into silent mode by itself.
No, sometimes it might run out of battery. That has happened to me. But not going into silent mode without me putting it into... In fact, mine is called airplane mode. You might even want to look into that.
Yeah, exactly right. But he says his phone switched to silent mode somehow by itself.
And that's complete and utter nonsense. And the big scandal...
That's a cool phone.
Very cool phone. The real scandal about all this nonsense is that we worked out, we suddenly realised that one of Europe's busiest airports, is it Europe's? I think it's Europe's busiest airport.
It's one of the busiest in the world.
It's basically run from a small is dependent on this small bit of thingy on the outskirts. And if you know Heathrow and Uxbridge and all that area around there...
The substation. But also
it was a little substation. There was like a fire there and everything went down.
And we're looking at a picture there, but you see, everything didn't quite go down. You see, this is where they've been slightly disingenuous in the review as to how they dealt with it. And bizarrely, they've concluded that they dealt with it very well.
Of course
they did, right? Because I remember talking that morning to a guy who said, I'm actually looking at the substation fire now. I can see it. It's at the end of my street. He said it was so hot at one point, we could feel the heat. And I said, how's the situation with the power? And he said, oh, it's fine. It was only out for an hour, right? So his power was restored. He lives next to the substation. Heathrow Airport could have also restored their power, but they didn't have it in every single part of the buildings, so they decided to shut the airport down. It was their decision to cancel your holiday, right? They could have easily let you go on holiday, and of course they used that great excuse, which was, oh, well, if something had gone wrong, you would have wanted us to shut the airport. Yeah, but it's your job.
Because a few of the lavatories or whatever. But also,
it's your job to
why do they not have endless backup generators just to keep an airport like that busy running?
Yeah.
And if I was the head of British Airways and Virgin and whoever that run out of Heathrow, I would be suing. I mean, Heathrow, they're not out of the woods yet. It must have cost them billions in terms of compensation and all of that.
Because they'll have to pay.
Responsible.
They'll have to pay the airlines a lot of money, of course.
Yes.
And one of the things I said yesterday when I came back from Dubai, Dubai Airport, by the way, is amazing, absolutely astonishing, and beautifully cool. You wouldn't know it was hot outside. When I got back to Heathrow, Heathrow was actually hotter inside as an airport than Dubai was. No doubt somebody had told them to switch off the air conditioning because it was just a bit muggy. I mean, incredible.
It's when you return to the UK or you get on the tube at Heathrow and you see the dirt and the filth and the grime and the crime and the fact that you can't take your phone out on public transport. When you've been abroad and you come back and you think, really...
You do notice things when you're away that actually seem to work better than everything else. Speaking of airports, by the way, here's a bit of footage for you. Welcome back to Britain if you've been away. Here's an intoxicated EasyJet passenger refused to allow to board at Manchester Airport. Have a look.
And you're standing there at me like you're going to do something. What are you going to do? What are you going to do it, man?
Mate, stay calm, stay calm, stay calm. Go stay calm.
Do it, man.
Stay calm.
Going to hit little stay calm. He's going to hit me. Is that what he's going to do? Hit me? For paying all that money to get on a flight, he's going to hit me. Is that what you're going to do to me? For getting on a flight? Hit me?
No, we're not.
Is that what you're going to do?
No one's hitting you. No one's hitting you.
What
What is wrong with people? I mean, you know, he gets a slap from the guy at EasyJet, which is very brave of him to do it, but, you know, that's sometimes what you have to do with these maniacs.
Of course. How else are you meant to stop them and restrain them?
Yeah.
By the way, in Dubai, which is in a desert, was there a water shortage? Or
there was plenty of water.
Was there plenty of water?
Plenty of water.
Funny that.
Loads of swimming pools.
Funny that. Was there water in the airport?
Well, do you know what? People used to make fun of me when I said this, and I said it a couple of years ago. You know, what's wrong with a desalination plant or two? You know, everyone went, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Why don't you just put, like, salt water on the fields? People are so stupid in this country. You know, in the Middle East, what do you think they do? They're surrounded by water.
Exactly.
They use desalination plants so that they don't run out of it. Because, technically speaking, if you did pour water into a bucket in Dubai, probably by the end of the day, it would have all evaporated.
Exactly.
So what you do is you generate your own water by actually making it drinking water and making it usable for public consumption by taking the salt out. It's called desalination.
And they seem to manage okay.
They seem to manage okay. It's 6:42. We've got lots more to do. On the phone silent thing, says Skoda, and some of these new Samsungs will be set up unwittingly to do certain things when you do certain actions, i.e. mine switches my Wi-Fi on when I get to any place I've used Wi-Fi before. Not sticking up for him, but it is entirely possible. Well, Wi-Fi. Well, no. Well, my phone does that. When you move into an area where you've got Wi-Fi and you've had Wi-Fi there before, it does that.
But you can also turn it off so it says so it doesn't connect. I mean, yes, you do.
But that's not the same as it going into silent mode.
No. And when you get a new phone, you have to fiddle with the settings, right?
Yeah.
There's no suggestion that he just picked up a new phone that evening.
No.
Oh, I don't think there's any suggestion that he picked up a new phone that evening and that the settings had been set. That I would completely understand.
He says he says that his phone went into silent mode automatically, right? Now, I would suggest if you're running an airport, that's probably not the best phone to have. If that's what your phone does, I'm sure you can stop it from doing that. I don't believe that that's what his phone does.
I don't believe that's what
I'm saying he's talking absolute and utter cobblers. That's what I'm saying.
But also, there should be someone very, very, very senior who can be contactable overnight. We're not pretending that everybody should leave. I don't think you should leave your phone on at night with the phone ringer going because everybody needs sleep.
Yeah.
But if you're the boss of Heathrow, either you're contactable or you're not.
Yeah.
But to protect, you know, it's just not.
When you're the CEO of a major operation like Heathrow Airport, you should never be out of touch.
Or,
I don't care. You should never be out of touch. No, never. Because that's you get to pay £3.2 million a year.
No, I agree with you.
Right? If the airport's about to be shut down, you need to be able to answer your phone, mate. I don't care. You know, it's like when I was a news reporter and I wasn't getting paid anything like £3.2 million.
Your phone was on?
My phone was on.
I know.
I always had a passport with me because those are the rules of the game.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't answer your phone, you get fired.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
You've got to be ready to go.
And so should he be fired. It's that simple.